So with transitional terms, right, things like we have here, accordingly, furthermore, in addition, regardless, right, these are not grammar questions. You always have to remember that, right? Technically, these are all, like, grammatically correct, right? We have a word and a comma, word, comma, word, comma, word, comma. So the grammar between these is not different, right? So what we need to do to figure out what is correct with the transitional term, it's more of like a reading question, right? So we need to read the sentence before and the sentence this is in and kind of summarize them to each sentence to ourselves and then figure out what's going to connect them, right? And so when I want to summarize a sentence to myself, I look at like the subject and the verb. Usually that should help me, right? Because that's the like who and the what is happening, right? So what I have here is like the nation's founding fathers. What did they want to do? They, right, in pursuit of a democratic society, they did what? They sought to avoid monarchism as a form of government. So they didn't want monarchism as a form of government, right, after they split from Britain, which is less important, right? And so then they established a systems of checks and balances to avoid this, right? So they are seeking to avoid this one thing, and then so they establish something to avoid it. So we would want something like, the word accordingly is kind of the same thing as like thus or so or like as a result. So it's like, oh, they didn't want monarchism, so they did this to avoid it, right? So it would be answer choice A. Another thing you can do with questions like this is like cross off synonyms, right? And something like furthermore, in addition, kind of do the exact same thing, right? So these things both mean like also, right? So if you pick B or C, I mean, usually in between two sentences, you can say something and then say also this other thing. So be really careful about picking something like this. And again, they're synonyms, so B and C are gone. And then D would be the opposite of A, like they wanted to avoid monarchism regardless they established a system. So we wouldn't want to say regardless. Regardless would be something like they wanted to avoid monarchism regardless they established a king, to be in charge of the government. So again, we would have answer choice A.